Hello, it's Jared Boomer from Specifically Solo, and today I am taking a look at games that are going to be coming out at PAX Unplugged, which is at the end of this week in Philadelphia. Not as big of a convention as, say, a Gen Con or Essen, or, it's probably comparable with like Origins, something along that size. But there are some new games that are going to be coming out. And there's also, as I was going through the list, some games that have been kind of, demoed at conventions like Gen Con, like Origins earlier this summer. Now they are releasing and will be available to buy. And there's also some very exciting solo games on the list too. So we're going to take a look at those today. And what we're going to be doing is looking at the BGG preview list for PAX Unplugged. And I've sorted it by a couple of different things. One is games that can be played solo, so ones that you can play solo and are available to play one player, and also games that are going to be available for purchase. Those are the main things that we're focusing on here today that we want to take a look at when looking at this BGG preview list. So this is put together by Eric Martin, who does a great job with this every single year. He puts all of these lists together for Gen Con, for Origins, for Essen, for PAX Unplugged, all of those, and it's really great to be able to go through that list and look at these games. So let's go ahead without any further ado and get started looking at these. And so I've sorted these by thumbs as well, because I feel like that's probably the best way to do it based on which games are kind of the most popular, most anticipated coming out at PAX Unplugged. So the most popular one here, again, games that you can play solo, is the Lord of the Rings Two Towers trick-taking game from Office Dog. Now, I have right here in front of me the Lord of the Rings The Fellowship of the Ring trick-taking game. I have not played it yet. I've heard it's very, very good, and it's a lot of fun, and it takes you through the story of Lord of the Rings. This one is obviously focusing on the first book and the first movie. The second one is focusing on the Two Towers. So that is the one that is going to be the next in this series. And obviously the first one did really, really well, that they are going to go ahead and release a second one. And it comes out January 16th, but you can get it early at PAX Unplugged. What I really enjoy about the Lord of the Rings trick-taking game, at least from just looking at it initially, I haven't played it yet, is that it's a pretty small package, pretty affordable, and I like how things kind of unlock and you go through different chapters and things like that throughout the course of the game. And it feels like you're going through the story of Lord of the Rings. So I really want to play this. I know the chapters are quick, they're short, they don't take very long. It says 20 minutes here on the back of the box. The Two Towers is kind of just more of the same. So if you enjoyed the Lord of the Rings, you're gonna enjoy or if you enjoyed the Fellowship of the Ring, you're gonna enjoy the Two Towers version of this as well. So next up is a game that is a solo only game, which has been talked about a lot, and this one is going to be available for purchase at PAX Unplugged, and that is Hercules and the 12 Labors. So in this one, it's a card game and a dice game, but it's a solo only game, and I have heard a ton about this. I tried to find it at Gen Con. I couldn't find it. I've tried to figure out where copies are going to be available. That's been a little difficult as well, but I love the artwork. I love the dice that come in this game. I think it looks really, really good and is going to be a really great solo-only game. I love look at the dice are so cool, and the cards and everything. So I'm really excited for this one. I think if you're a person that plays games only solo, and if you want something that is just a solo-specific experience, this is going to be a game that is going to be on your radar. This is one that you will definitely want to check out at PAX Unplugged or when it releases coming up here pretty soon, to retail and stuff like that. So that one's supposed to come out Q4 of 2025, $30. Again, it's going to be available at PAX Unplugged. Next on the list is a game that I had a chance to play at Gen Con. That is Tend from IV Studios. So this is a really big roll one, right? And when I played this game, it was a big group session, and there was a lot of people that were kind of playing all at once. But this felt like a very solo experience. It was very head down. It was very much focus on my own sheet, work on what I'm doing in this roll and write, where you're doing a lot of different things. You are farming, you're exploring, you're mining, you're fishing. You're doing all of this stuff on your big sheets of paper that you have. Think like Hadrian's Wall or the Anarchy, although I'd say not quite as complex as those two games, but still a lot going on in Tend. And and I did find it enjoyable. I did find that it took a little while to play. It was a little bit of a long gameplay session. We were also learning the game as well, but I think if you were playing it by yourself, you could go faster. You wouldn't have to wait for everybody to finish a particular round or anything like that, and you would be able to kind of just progress at the speed that you want to progress at. But I enjoyed some of the things that it did. I liked it. I think as a roll and ride, as a flip and right, it works pretty well, and it is more of a beefier one of those. If you're a fan of some of those more intense roll and write type games, I think this will be one that you want to check out, and that is 10 from Ivy Studios. So I did enjoy it. I thought it was pretty good. I just really want to play it again to kind of get a full grasp of it. And I think the first time you play anything, right, it's like difficult to kind of base your opinions off of that one play. You can, but it's kind of like, okay, we just got taught the game. Now we're playing it for the first time. I understand most of it. I don't understand everything. I feel like if I played it again, I would have a better experience with it. And I did enjoy 10, and I got to play that one at Gen Con. Next up is Flamecraft Duels, which is a version of Flamecraft you can play solo. Now, you can play regular Flamecraft solo as well, but this is from Cardboard Alchemy. Same designer here, Manny Vega. Same artist, Sandara Tang, who does the art for the Flamecraft games. And what is kind of interesting about this one is that it's the Flamecraft name is there, but it appears that this is a much different game from, like, base Flamecraft. If you've played Flamecraft, that's kind of like a little bit of order fulfillment going on. You have this big like rollout mat that you set up and go to different shops around the map, which is the board, and you kind of, fire your dragons and deliver ingredients and things like that. This is kind of like stacking tokens. Like, this looks very much like a Harmonies type game, but you still have those shops and things. I haven't looked a lot into this one. I'll be honest, it hasn't really caught my attention that much, but I think, a different type of version of Flamecraft with some more of that cool art is a good thing and is interesting, and I think it would be really cool to be able to check this out. I like that it's a 1 to 2 player game, so it feels like it's going to work well solo, being a kind of pattern building and tile placement game, and that's just so different from the original Flamecraft that the name is the same, it's in the same world, but I feel like the gameplay and what you're doing is very, very different from regular Flamecraft. Next up is Covenant from Devere. This game just released at Essen and is now going to be available at PAX Unplugged as well. This is like a worker placement game, some area control going on in this, and you've got dwarves and you're assigning them to do different things. Now, I've heard a lot about this game. I think people are really liking this game from Devere, at least some early reactions that I've heard. It looks pretty complex. Looks like there's a decent amount of stuff going on here that you're trying to keep track of and look at and all of that stuff while you are playing the game, and I'm not 100% sure how the solo works. What I found with some Devere games is sometimes the solo works really, really well. Sometimes it's not the best, but I feel like this one it would definitely be worth checking out, and I think the theme here is very cool. I think the artwork here is very cool, and it's got a good rating so far on BGG. It's sitting at a 7.9. That's nothing to slack at this point, obviously, with how highly it's been rated so far. So I think this is a little bit, you can see the weight there, 3.59, a little bit more of a intense experience than some of the games we've talked about so far on the list. I think that's interesting because a lot of these games here right at the top, Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers, is let's check the weight on that. I don't think it's super duper heavy though. No weight yet, but the first one is not that heavy. Hercules and the 12 Labors looks like kind of a smaller box. It doesn't necessarily mean lightweight, but 2.4 there. And then Flamecraft Duels is obviously lightweight, and 10 is a little heavier, but Covenant is probably like the heaviest game of these ones in the top right here. So I think this is just kind of your classic Euro game that they've got going on here from Devere, a publisher that knows what they're doing, obviously. They come out with high-quality games. They come out with unique themes, which is another thing that I really enjoy about Devere, is they're always kind of doing something different and out of the box in terms of the theming for their games. And so Covenant, I think, would definitely be one to check out. I would be interested in it. If I was going to PAX Unplugged, I would definitely make a point to stop by the Devere booth, look at it, see what it's all about, and see if I was interested in purchasing it or not. It is $80. That's kind of a high price tag for, like a Euro game. Most of the time it's around 60 or 70, but production costs have gone up. Some of these things are going to cost a little bit more just due to the nature of the world we live in right now. Next up is Wine Cellar. I have not played Wine Cellar. It was available at Gen Con. I did not purchase it. The 1 to 8 players on Wine Cellar is what is off-putting to me. I don't know if a game can play 8 players as well as it plays 1 player. And you can see here on BGG, best is 4 to 5. Now, this is pretty lightweight, and this is an auction game, too. So, I haven't looked at the solo mode a ton, but I'd be really interested to know how an auction game and a bidding game is working via solo mode. I'm assuming it's got cards that are going to be flipped over, and you're going to be looking at those and, basing it's going to bid, you're going to see who's highest for things. But it just feels like this game would be more fun with more people. Again, you can play it solo, but I don't think you would really want to play it solo. It feels like it'd be a game that would be best suited for more people, basically. So while I think that it is a cool theme and it's pretty lightweight, and I love a good auction bidding game, I just haven't found a lot that work great solo, and so I don't want to discarded it by any means, but again, it feels like this one is better with probably more people. Next up, Galactic Cruise. Galactic Cruise has been out for a little while now. It's the first time it's being available at PAX Unplugged. It is a very, very heavy, in-depth worker placement game where you are trying to build and launch these ships to send passengers on cruise vacations in space. I have a copy of it behind me on the shelf here. It's a little bit intimidating. I have not really dived into it very much yet because it is a lot going on. It's a lot of setup. It's a lot of learning the game. It's a lot of learning what the solo mode does. Now, I will say there is an implementation now on Board Game Arena, and if you have a subscription to that, you can play the game solo on Board Game Arena, which I have not done yet, but was very intriguing to me in terms of taking a look at it and maybe using that to get a better understanding of how to play the solo mode and wrapping my head around it, and, in kind of that guided BGA experience, and then setting it up on my table. I will tell you, from opening the box, from setting it up, from looking at it, everything is top-notch, world-class in this game. Kinson Key Games have done a great job here. It has skyrocketed up the BGG charts. You can see it's at 217 overall right now on the Board Game Geek charts. It is a very thematic game in terms of what you're doing, how you're doing it. All of that kind of makes sense and comes together. The building of the cruise ships is really, really fun. All of the pieces in this game are like wooden. All of this that you see here in this picture is standard. This is not a deluxe version of the game. The game does have a pretty high price tag. I think it's $120, but everything is well worth it for that price, and you get a ton of stuff in the box, and there's a lot of stuff going on. But the variability here in terms of kind of how you build your ships, when you decide which passengers you're going to take, when you deliver those passengers and drop them off and, do things that they want to do. If you like that kind of stuff, I think you will really enjoy this game. If you've ever wanted to kind of run like your own, cruise ship company or spaceship company or something like that, you will want to definitely take a look at Galactic Cruise. I think it's a really good game, and a really kind of cool theme on this one too. That obviously space has been done a lot, but like sending people to space, delivering people, taking them on trips. This is kind of your player board right here. You've got some upgrade slots that'll happen. These spaces down here, these are tracks that you're going to advance along as the game goes on. Some more upgrades and things go in these slots, and you can upgrade ships and things when you get ready to launch them. And when you launch a ship, it feels really, really cool in the game because you're going to have to work up to that to be able to launch a ship. But when you launch one, it does feel very thematic and feels very earned. So Galactic Cruise, again, I haven't really played it a ton. I've just set it up, gone through it kind of the one time. I didn't even finish the play because it was just a lot for me. It was very overwhelming, but don't let that deter you. If you're somebody that likes heavier games, if you like this theme, if you think you would be interested in this, I would suggest definitely checking this out. And Kinson Key Games is going to be able to, if you're going to PAX Unplugged, to be able to kind of share with you a little bit about the game and kind of what it's like, and if you would enjoy it or not. You'll get a good sense for that if you go up to their booth at PAX Unplugged. So next up is Sanctuary from Capstone Games. I had a chance to play this at Capcom, which the Capstone Games did their first ever convention in Cincinnati. That was about a month ago, maybe 2 months ago at this point. They had Sanctuary there, though. This is being pitched as being in the Ark Nova universe. I will say it shares some similarities with Ark Nova. It is also a lot different in ways from Ark Nova. The biggest difference, I think, is that it is a much faster game than Ark Nova, and it is also a much lighter game than Ark Nova, but not insanely light. It's just if Ark Nova is, maybe one of the heaviest games you've ever played, this is somewhere more in the middle. The other thing that's going on here is the tiles. Instead of collecting cards in this game like you do in Ark Nova, you are collecting tiles. And those tiles, you can see here from the symbols, have a lot of those similar symbols to Ark Nova. So if you've played Ark Nova and you decide to play Sanctuary, it's going to be a pretty easy transition in terms of the iconography and how the game works. You still have your action tiles, which are tiles in this game, which are going to be, you're sliding them below your board and they're at different powers and using that kind of river effect for the actions in the game. This is the board that has kind of some of the goals on it. So there will be different things that you're trying to achieve during the game. They've kind of simplified down some of the conservation goals and like the projects and things like that into this board, and this is kind of just a fight for whoever gets there first. Also, there's a lot of different ways that the game can end, and so that makes it go pretty fast too. Somebody could fill up their board, somebody could achieve 4 of these particular goals, and the game would end that way. There's a couple of different ways that the game ends, and there's a lot of variety here still. Like Ark Nova, there's a bunch of tiles in this game. I would say there's not as many tiles as there are cards in Ark Nova, but there are still a lot of tiles, and you're going to have to play for a while to be able to see all of those tiles. I will say some of the things, though, about this game is that I feel like it's just a little more restrictive in a way than Ark Nova. The tiles, when they come out, sometimes you don't get exactly what you want. Also, how the tiles work is you can take them based on a certain strength, based on that action, that is at that level at that time, if that makes sense. So, like if your action is at level 3, you can take a level 3 or below tile. But sometimes you just don't get the tiles that you want. And with the game being shorter, and also with you not having as much space to put tiles on your board, sometimes you have to really re-strategize, change your plan, things like that as you're going through the game. I only played this once, but I did really enjoy this game, and I thought it was pretty good in terms of taking some of those concepts and some of those themes from Ark Nova and simplifying them a little bit and making it a little bit more of an accessible game, because Ark Nova is very heavy and it takes quite a while to play. And this does not. This is kind of, the opposite of that, where it's a 45-minute, hour experience, and it's a little bit of a simpler game. So if you're like, I've wanted to play Ark Nova, but it's too heavy, I don't want to get into it, it's too much going on, I feel like the theme's cool though, and I like the theme of like building up my own zoo, then you should probably check out Sanctuary. You will probably enjoy it. Next up is a game which I have a review of on my channel, and that is Knitting Circle. Knitting Circle is from Flat Out Games. It is in the Calico universe, if you will. A different designer, though, for this one. And in this one, you are knitting garments. And so you are collecting these kind of tokens, pieces, if you will, to knit these garments with. And it's a lot of pattern, like matching, some abstract. It's abstract, of course, but you're trying to kind of match patterns, match colors. Keep that in mind while you're working on your garments. There's lots of different types of garments in the game that vary in terms of like how simple they are to complete. Some are a lot more difficult. And then you'll have different buttons here, which are on your like personal board right here. And so you might have a button that says stripes. So if you're able to do like a stripe pattern on a garment, you can put that button on it and then get those points at the end of the game. Or it might want you to knit a certain item, like, hey, you have a button that says make a hat. So you want to make sure you get a hat and you kind of work on that. Some are color based. There's like color, pattern, and then garment type based for the different buttons. And also the pieces that you gather, you kind of have to use those on that particular turn. You can roll over 2 of them to like a future turn, but for the most part, you're going to have to play them on that turn. So there's this constant like strategy that you're trying to think of which ones do I want to take and which ones do I want to grab, and how am I going to go about completing these garments. I will say I have played this solo. Solo mode is very, very easy. It is just going to kind of take things from this central board right here. So this is kind of like the area where you're going to collect these little tokens from. And so the solo mode is just going to go around and kind of take those tokens and make them, inaccessible to you for the most part. It's not going to really jack with anything you're doing other than taking some of those tokens off of there. I will say, just like a lot of other flat out games, there are challenges in this game. There are scenarios. There are different things that you can do. This is a better view of the board, but these are the pieces out here. And so you'll play as a cat. Solo mode will play as a cat, and it'll just kind of bump around and go to a space, and it might just take, it might take both of these purple ones right here, or it might take these two, or whatever. And so you're just moving it, and it's kind of taking some of those. And then also looking at this central board, you have to really think about which pieces you want, because the other thing that you cannot do in this game is you cannot, flip these over, basically. So they kind of have to stay in the orientation that they're in. And so if they're on like a solid side, you have to use the solid side. If they're on a stripe side, like this pattern, you have to use that. So that's another thing that you have to consider when you're playing it. I liked it. I thought it was pretty good. It's very puzzly. It's pretty quick. It's like 30 to 40 minutes. I like that there's so many solo scenarios and challenges in the rule book. And so you can really set it up a lot of different ways and try to hit different goals and kind of play different ways and things like that. I think if you liked Calico, you will enjoy this game. I will say, having played both, this feels a little bit easier than Calico. Not quite as brain burny, but still a really good puzzle and still really enjoyable. Just not as intense as that Calico experience is when you are, playing Calico can really break your brain. And it's kind of surprising because you look at the box and you're like, oh, it's like this sweet little game with cats, and we're gonna, work on these quilts and things. And that's, the base of the game, but then you get to play the game and you're like, whoa, this is really intense, and this is really, a lot going on here. Knitting Circle is not quite as crazy. It's a little bit simpler. I like it. I like that they've kind of done a similar but different game here, kind of the same thing as like Sanctuary or Flamecraft Duels. It's like we're keeping this theme, we're keeping this kind of universe, if you will, that people enjoy, but we're going to make a little bit of a different game here. And you can see the weight here on this one is 2.11. I'm sure the weight on Calico is probably higher than that, because Calico, 2.20. That feels low for Calico. Calico feels, again, really brain burny in a way, and this did not feel as brain burny to me. I do have both. I think if you have, you could keep both in your collection and enjoy both of them. Next up is 10B. I had this game in my Essen preview list. This is one that I was really excited for. I haven't gotten a chance to play it since I did that list. I haven't seen it in retail yet, but it's got a really cool look to it, and you're just drafting these cards, and you are creating your little town here, and you're going to add different things to your town. You're going to try to score some extra points. It looks like it would be a great little solo puzzle game, and so I really enjoy the artwork here. I really want to check this out at some point. It just looks really, really cool. It looks kind of pretty easy, but that the puzzle is there and would be enjoyable. And there's a lot of kind of, replaying the value here and playing the puzzle again. Again, it seems like it's been really well received so far. 8.2 is pretty good. And 1 to 5 players, best 2 to 3, though, at least from these early. There's not very many votes on that at all yet. And the weight is not that heavy either. But it's, a city building card game with some drafting, some pattern building, things like that. One that I definitely want to check out. One that's on my radar. If I see it in my local game store, or if I see it online somewhere, I likely will pick this one up, because this one has been on my radar, and I just love the art and how colorful it is and how much it pops. It seems like a pretty simple game here, but one that would be a lot of fun. And I don't really know much about this publisher either. Well, Mighty Boards I do, but this designer, I don't know if they've designed some other things here. No, this is their first game that they've designed. So this person lives in Wales, and it looked like they worked as a composer for TV before they wanted to become a board game designer. So that's pretty cool. So this is his first game. I hope it does well, and I hope it's received well, and I hope he can make more games, because if the first one does well, that'll be better for making some more games. So 10B there on the list. Next one is Formaggio. So Formaggio, interesting because it is a expansion for Fromage, which came out a couple of years ago, which I did not play in person, but did play on BGA, and I thought it was kind of a really cool design with like the wedges and making your cheese and stuff like that. But Formaggio is also its own game. So you can use it as an expansion for Fromage, or you can play it by itself. It's really kind of interesting how they've done this here. So you're still doing the kind of same thing. You're making cheese, you're doing worker placement, and you're all playing at the same time. And then the cool thing about Fromage and Formaggio that they've kept in here is that the board rotates. So the board spins, and that kind of symbolizes aging your cheese. It's a brilliant design in terms of, oh, the board's spinning, my cheese is aging, I'm getting more points for that as I continue to go. When do I want to grab that off of there and bring it back kind of into my stock, if you will? So I really liked this when I played it. I did not play Formaggio. I played Fromage on BGA. I really enjoyed playing that on BGA. And I think this one has a little bit of new mini games in it, some other things going on, and new boards, and you can mix and match the boards between the two to kind of set up different gameplay types every time and give you some more replayability by kind of mixing and matching those boards. The components look fantastic. They look really, really good. I don't know if that looks like the regular version of the game. I don't think that's a deluxe version there. That just looks like standard. The cheese kind of slots into the boards here. You've got these different boards. And the mini games are fun too because each quadrant has a different mini game that you're trying to kind of complete. Some are like the pattern matching. Some are like area control. There's like some different kind of little things going on in the mini games, at least in Fromage. So Formaggio, though, looks to be a very, very similar game. Again, an expansion, or you can play it standalone. I really like that. If you've got Fromage, you can say, I'm going to get this, and I'm going to add more stuff into Fromage, and we'll make our Fromage experience like a little bit deeper and a little bit more interesting. Or you can say, I've never played Fromage. I'm just going to get Formaggio and check that out. And then if I like Formaggio, maybe I'll get Fromage. So I think what they've done here is really, really smart with this like standalone expansion that they're going for. Some other things that are happening, you've got the action chaining going on, of course, the Rondelle set collection, worker placement, all of that happening in this game, and it's based on making cheese, and it's about food. So that's a lot of fun there, and it looks, I will say, it looks more intense than it is. It's really, at least Fromage is really not that heavy of a game, but when you see it set up, you're like, ooh, that looks like there's a lot going on there. Am I going to be able to kind of understand all that? It's pretty simple and really intuitive, like how it works, like how the theme of the game fits in with the rules, and it kind of just makes sense. Like, oh, okay, yeah, that would make sense. If I was making cheese, I would do that. And it seems like they've kind of kept the same thing here with Formaggio. So interested to check that one out for sure. Next on the list is an expansion for Tir na Nog. I have not played Tir na Nog, so I can't talk a lot about this expansion. I honestly don't even know a ton about Tir na Nog. I know that it has been received pretty well and is pretty popular at this point, and I think it came out last year. Yeah, last year. But people do enjoy it as a solo game. It's recommended only a couple of votes there. But this is like a hand management, drafting, worker placement kind of going on in this one. So the expansion is just adding a bunch of modules in. And I have to say, I do really enjoy, let's scroll back down here to where we were. I do really enjoy when an expansion is just kind of like, here's this, throw it in. You want to play with it? Great. You don't want to play with it? You don't have to play with it. You can kind of mix and match and just kind of, move them around. And if you want to add in a bunch, you can. If you don't want to add in a bunch, you don't have to. I think that's really cool when an expansion does that and makes it easy to kind of mix and match things in. Because if you want to throw in all 5 modules, you could throw in all 5 modules. But if you only want to play with one at a time and just slightly maybe increase the complexity or the variability of the game, you can do that too. So I like when expansions do that. And, Blessings and Burdens, got a cool dog on the cover there. That might be one that I have to check out at some point. I've not played Tir na Nog, but I've heard that people like it. They enjoy it. I just need to kind of check that one out. So next up is an expansion for Flamecraft. So we talked about Flamecraft Duels earlier. This is an expansion for Flamecraft called Dragons and Dragons. And we'll say Flamecraft came out a while ago, so it's interesting to me that they're doing a new expansion for it at this point, especially when they have the new game coming out. But they're going to do an expansion for this. Let's see. This is basically just little mini expansions. So again, little modules that you can add in and play with, and use or not use. Basically, Hydra Dragons. Hydra Dragons have a cool fire up ability. A new neoprene mat, a new shop, new upscale cards, new companion dragons, new adventurer dragons. So just lots of little stuff that you can kind of add into Flamecraft. I will say there's no pictures of this yet, which is kind of interesting because PAX Unplugged is this weekend, and if it's going to be available for purchase, there's nothing showing on BGG that shows me kind of what it is yet. But maybe Cardboard Alchemy is getting it ready, and they will have it ready for PAX Unplugged this weekend. But that's kind of interesting that there's like no pictures of it at all on Board Game Geek when it releases at PAX Unplugged. It is coming out this month. Next up, a game from 25th Century Games. 25th Century Games is always going to catch my eye when they release something because I really like a lot of what they do. Excuse me. I think they come out with interesting games. They come out with a lot of games that are great for solo players. This one is designed by Danny Garcia. Great designer. Done a lot of cool games at this point in his career. A lot of games that I've enjoyed. This is Nico Syndicate. Now, I don't know a lot about this game, I will say. It is a tableau builder, though. And it looks like you are leading a clan. So the sushi production and distribution in this city is controlled by feline clans. Leading those clans, you will now prove to the supreme leader who deserves to inherit his position, building an effective chain of command and creating the greatest amount of sushi demanded by the population. Pick up and deliver game. I think that is an underused game mechanism. I really like pick up and deliver games. There's just not a lot of pick up and deliver games out there, but I think it's a really cool mechanism of like, go grab this from this spot and then take it over here and drop it off and complete an order for it. I think that's a really cool mechanism that just a lot of games don't use. I will admit, I did not know, before I clicked on this, I didn't really know anything about this game. The other games we've talked about so far have at least been on my radar. I'm aware of them. This is my first time I'm hearing of this Nico Syndicate. Looks like they had it at Spiel last year and were demoing it. The art is cool. The components look pretty good. It comes with some cubes, and the little cat meeples are quite good, I will say. The cat with the sunglasses, loving that. And those are the player boards, and then you're kind of putting these out here. I'm interested to see how this one plays solo. Again, sometimes these games where they're like pick up and deliver work best with more people, but this is also a pattern building game. It seems like it's not super heavy. This is one that is now, I'm now going to add this to my wish list because I'd be interested in looking more at that one, putting that one on the radar. I think there's some cool things that are going on here. Danny Garcia, great designer. The theme is kind of interesting with the cats and making the sushi. And then it seems like it's, a little bit of a smaller package, which is always nice. $30. That's a nice price to like take a flyer on a game. I don't know about you, but for me, anything that's like $20 or $30, I'm definitely willing to just kind of take a chance on it and see if I like it or not versus something that's like $70, $80, $90. Those I have to do more research in, kind of, investigate a little bit more before I spend that kind of money. But for $30, taking a chance on something is not as big of a deal for me. So Nico Syndicate. Propolis, excuse me, is a game from Flat Out Games. I may be getting a copy of this to review. I'm not sure. So you may see this one on the channel here in the coming months. This is a worker placement game with bees. And you're saying, didn't we already make that? Isn't that apiary? Well, kind of, but this is different. Engine building, area control, tableau building game. A lot of cards in this game, and then you're putting like the bees on the cards. This is some pictures of it. It's got some tracks. There's the bees. There's some of the cards in the game. This is a prototype, but this is probably close to what the final version looks like. The cover looks really good. It was on display at PAX last year. It was not available, though. Now it is available. And there's lots of different things happening here. Are there too many things going on? Maybe, I'm not sure. But when you have worker placement, engine building, area control, tableau building, that's a lot of things to focus on, especially in a game that is not that high of a wait and is only 15 to 30 minutes, which makes me think, it's kind of a game where you get your engine built up or you've got your tableau built and then the game's over and you don't really get to do anything with it. I'm not saying that's the case with this one, but just with a game doing all that and it's not that long, it feels like it might be a little bit of a short experience, but it also might be the type of experience where you're like, oh, I get to do all these cool mechanisms and the game only took 30 minutes. Again, I'm not sure. I haven't played it, but I like the art. Again, it's from AG and Flat Out. Next on the list, Core of Discovery. Go get Core of Discovery. It is one of the best solo games I've played this year. Off the page games. It is so cool. It is a deduction game, kind of like real life, like Minesweeper. And so you've got I have a review of it on my channel if you want to check it out. But if you have a chance to pick it up, you should pick it up. It's got all these different maps in it, and then you are discovering this map and you are trying to complete different goals. And things on the map will be next to other things based on like logic and deduction. So if you look at, they give you a sheet for each chapter of maps that are included in the game. And you look at that, you can say, okay, I know water is going to be like adjacent to wood. So if this is a wood, water should be around here somewhere. And you have to manage your resources. It's a really tight resource game. You have to turn those resources in for certain things. It's just so well done. You can see here I rated it a 9 out of 10. It is really good, and it is really a lot of fun, and it works great as a solo game. It is such a good solo game, and one that I think will just rise within the solo community. They've got a lot of expansions out for it as well. I've played one of those. I haven't played the rest of them, though. The one that I did play was good. And so here's one of the maps here. And so you're just kind of try to go and discover, and this is a fauna map, and so you're trying to kill 3 monsters. And so you're going to go through and you're going to put these little tokens on top of these spaces and cover them up at the start of the game. Then as you go around, you will discover things, and you also try to defeat those monsters and things as well. It's a really great game. It does not take long to set up. It takes maybe an hour to play, 45 minutes to an hour. There's so many maps that come in the game, and you can print out more maps online as well. But I just think it is a fantastic game, and again, a great solo game. If you like a logic game, if you like deduction game, a puzzle, any of that stuff, you will want to check out Core of Discovery. That is just a fantastic game right there from Off the Page Games, and I'm excited to see it. That's my first game of theirs that I've played, but now I'm going to be checking out a lot of their stuff because that one was just so good. Next up, Point Galaxy. So Point Galaxy is the next in the Point line of games from AEG and from Flat Out. There's been Point Salad. There's been Point City. There may have been another one. I can't remember exactly, but this is a new one. This is Point Galaxy. And so you're drafting these cards. This one's a little bit more complex. They've amped it. Now, look at the weight, 1.92. It's still not like we're going super high complexity here, but they've amped it up a little bit and are doing a little bit more in this game than some of the other Point games at this point. This one's space themed, and so I might be getting this as a review copy as well. We just have to kind of wait and see. So I might have thoughts on this one on the channel as well. I have played Point Salad, not solo, but I have played it 2-player. Well, you can't play it solo, so that'll be why. I have played Point Salad, and I thought for what it was pretty good in terms of drafting these cards, set collection, collecting these vegetables and fruits and trying to score points, and all of them kind of score points in like different ways. I thought for what it was a very quick game, very easy game to learn. I thought it was really well done. I have not played Point City, and I have not played Point Galaxy, but you can see we're increasing the weight here just a little bit, kind of making a little bit more complex game than the other ones. So interested to check this one out. I think the space theme is cool. It looks pretty cool as well. The art looks good. Simple rules. That's always a good thing. And a quick playing game. Again, 15 to 30 minutes for this type of game feels right. Okay, what's next on the list? Garden Lake from Uwe Rosenberg. There are a lot of games that have come out recently about koi fish. I don't know if you've noticed that. There was one at Gen Con that I think was just called Koi, maybe. I can't remember if that's what it was called. I think this was it. This was available at Gen Con, if I'm thinking of the right thing here. Yeah, so this was available at Gen Con. You were making and is available now, a 3D koi pond. And this Garden Lake is a game with koi fish as well. This is obviously a polyomino game and a tile placement game. These are actually pentomino tiles. And it looks like in this game, you always place one tile, but you can place additional tiles, which allows you to chain moves. I love a game that allows me to kind of like do this, and then, oh, I place that down so I can do that. I love the combo, the action chaining thing. This looks pretty simple, but if you like a polyomino game, and if you like koi fish, I would look at this one. And it's from Uwe Rosenberg, who, if we're talking about like polyomino games, one of the leaders of those in terms of the design and doing something cool. Looks like this one's pretty simple. You have your own little boards. I like the box. I like the tiles. Look pretty good. I don't know how much is going on here. It seems like it's pretty simple game. And could be a good family game as well. And you're just kind of, building your little lake up here with these water lilies and these koi fishes. So that's one to check out if you're interested in that. I don't know if that's capturing my eye as much as some of these other ones. How to Save a World from Burnt Island Games. Burnt Island Games also makes Endeavor Deep Sea, which is a great game that I got to play for the first time this year. This is their new game where it's a deck building game, I believe. I think that's right. Oh, sorry, worker placement game with hand building and resource management. So a little bit of deck building, but more of like managing the cards that are in your hand. And what you're trying to do is you are trying to basically save the world. So there's this asteroid that is getting close to you, and you have to figure out what you want to do. And there's a couple of different ways you can go about doing those actions to try and stop the asteroid, but the asteroid is going to get closer and closer as the game goes on. The cool thing on the board is this is the asteroid. So the asteroid's really big, and it kind of gets closer. That's the comet, as it says here. As the game goes on, it gets closer to you, and you can see you've got a lot of tracks here and things. I have not played this. I did take a quick look at it at Gen Con. I don't know a ton about it. But I like the theme here. I like this company's other game in Endeavor Deep Sea. I really enjoyed that game. And so that will get this one on my radar for sure. I think this would definitely be one if you're interested in the theme, if you like worker placement. Now, I don't know, because you're working on these projects and you're trying to collaborate and cooperate. Obviously, this is you're not competitive. This is obviously, I don't think, maybe it is, but it seems like it's more of a cooperative type experience. And sometimes those are better with more people than just playing solo. But we have to kind of, evaluate it and see and check it out. But that's How to Save a World. Next up is Origin Story from Stonemaier Games. There's been a lot of talk about this one. I haven't really seen much about it yet or read much about it or anything, but this has been getting a lot of discussion online. You are crafting a superhero origin story by trick-taking and tableau building. It's competitive. You play it over 5 rounds. You get, reveal your backstory, gather gadgets. It's only $30, so it's a little bit of a cheaper Stonemaier game. Stonemaier Games obviously has a good reputation. Jamie Stegmaier has a good reputation. Vantage, which he designed, one of my favorite games of the year so far. And so this one, though, just something about this is not capturing me. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the gameplay doesn't look that interesting. I don't know if it's the art doesn't look that interesting. The trick-taking solo aspect, that can work. It has worked in other games like For Northwood. That's a solo trick-taking game. I mean, the Lord of the Rings trick-taking game, which we talked about at the very beginning of this, is a trick-taking game that you can play solo. But I don't know. Just something about this one is not gathering my attention a ton. So I mean, Stonemaier Games, I feel like I'll definitely check it out and take a look at it. But I don't know. Something about this one is just not intriguing to me as much. So that's Origin Story. Next is I Made You a Mixtape from fellow YouTube video creator of the Dice Tower, although a much bigger channel, Mike DeLisio. I love Mike DeLisio's reviews, and he's great on solo games. He's a big proponent for solo gaming and the solo gaming community, so definitely supportive of that. This is a game where you are trying to make the best mixtape, and it's an I Cut You Choose game, and it's set collection. Look, I think that's really cool. You know, back in the day, you would put all these songs together and make a mixtape, or even in my day, like make a CD for somebody where you'd have all these tracks assembled. And so in this game, you're making that mixtape, and your tape's going to be judged on how well it's themed, how well the tracks flow, which is an important part of a mixtape, like how they work into each other, and the balance of lengths between the first side and the second side. You don't want the first side of the mixtape to be 40 minutes and the second side to be 20. You got to even those out. So I think the theme here is really, really cool. The cards, the song titles on here, you can see there's different genres and things in here. They've done the art that is kind of like they've just written on the cards with a pencil is kind of what the art looks like for this one. And it does look really kind of fun. Now, I'm interested to see how it would play solo. Again, an I Split You Choose or I Cut You Choose game sometimes doesn't play the best solo, but Mike DeLisio here designing this one knows so much about solo gaming and the solo community, and also designing it with Dan Hughes, that I feel like he's probably created a pretty good solo mode here for this, because that's such an important thing for him, and he's such a big solo gamer. I feel like the solo mode for this is probably pretty good. So I love the theme, though. I love the taking the music and making it and combining it and everything. And it's a very lightweight game, pretty quick. Feels like this would be a good like game you could play solo, or you could like bring out with a group of people. But I think there's enough strategy there in terms of the cards and trying to make all that connect, that you've got to really think about which ones you want to add to your mixtape and what you want to use. So that's I Made You a Mixtape. A place for all my books. I own this. I have played it 2-player with my wife, who was a big fan of this one. And I will say, you look at this cover, it looks like this game's going to be pretty lightweight, pretty simple, maybe not a lot going on. Then you play it, it's really got a lot of depth to it for such a kind of, the artwork and the cover don't give off that vibe, but when you play it, it's pretty puzzly, and it's really good, actually. The 2-player game of this was really good. I have not played it solo, but you are collecting these books, and then you have them in your apartment, and you've got to arrange them in different rooms. And so sometimes they want to be stacked, sometimes they don't want to be stacked. Sometimes it's like harder to move them to different places. Sometimes you want them all spread out. Sometimes you want them stacked up next to each other. And there's also solo mode, which I, again, have not tried out, but you're competing against Penelope, who is trying to grab all the books that you want. I will say the components in this are really, really nice. The wooden books, this one, somebody actually taped like book covers on the books. The game does not come like that, but you can definitely do that if you want to, or you could print them out and tape your book covers on there if you want to. But you've got these different spots too, and you go to town during the game, and you have to time when you do that, because it takes a lot of energy for you to go to town. And so then you've got to recharge back at home, and that kind of builds up as the rounds go on. And then you can go back out to town again and do some different things with your books. You can sell your books there. You can, exchange some of your books. You can get new books. It's very, very thematic. Okay, here's what the game looks like with the regular covers, basically. And so you can sort your books, arrange them, and you have these different goals that you're trying to achieve and different ways you're trying to put them together. Again, I think there's a lot of good puzzle in this for a game that looks pretty simple, and a game that is not that hard to learn. It's a very simple not solo mode, but a pretty simple game too. I haven't played the solo mode, but I really like the 2-player game of this. I think if you enjoy the theme, if you like a good puzzle, if you like pattern building, set collection, things like that, this is definitely one to check out. A place for all my books from Smirk and Dagger. Forestry is up next from Capstone Games. This one is very intriguing to me. I had this on my Essen Top 10 Most Anticipated list. This is a game that is a lot of different things going on, but you have these two different workers. You have a harvester and a manager, and they have different things that they can do. And you have to use those workers in a balance with each other and use your action points in a balance with each other. The board is circular, just mentioning that. And it feels like this game is pretty thematic and a pretty robust experience. Again, I have not played it. I really like the look of it, though. I think that theme is cool in terms of I run like this forest company and I want to make money and get points, but I also need to like sustain the forest as well. And I have to do both of those things kind of in tandem with one another. So there's your two workers are the harvester and the manager. So the harvester is the one that's going through the forest, like getting the trees, replanting the trees, managing the water supply. And then the manager is like overseeing your resources, doing the contracts. Like once the harvester brings the wood in, they process the wood. So it feels like it's really thematic. It is, a little bit of a longer game. It's a little bit of a heavier weight game, but this is one that I definitely want to check out. I don't know why it wasn't on my wish list already, because I do want to take a look at that one, Forestry there. So next up is the big box for Orleans. I feel like we don't really need to go into this one too much. Orleans, very renowned bag building game. I've played it multiplayer once at Gen Con. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. I have not played it solo. This is just allowing you to get everything, I believe, in one box. So if you're an Orleans fan, you will want to check that out. Next up, Phoenix New Horizon from Devere. This game I feel like has gone through a lot of different companies, and it felt like it was going to come out for a while, and it never did come out, and now it's finally available. This is a civilization game with some worker placement going on as well, and so you're trying to recolonize Earth. It looks interesting to me. I don't know how well it will play solo. I haven't heard a lot about the solo mode or how that works. It's pretty involved. There's a lot going on. You can see here from the board and from some of the other things happening. The components look cool, though. A lot of wooden components. I love the screen printed meeples. But this one seems like there's a lot happening in this. If you're somebody that enjoys that, the weight's not that heavy, though. I felt like the weight maybe would be heavier on this one. But if you're somebody that enjoys that, if you like the theme, you can see this on my wish list. So I do want to check it out at some point. And now it is finally available. And there's different worker types in the games and some contracts and things like that, too. So I think this is definitely one to take a look at. This is one that I would want to see set up on a table or, demo or get a game in of to kind of see how it plays. Because I feel like I just can't learn that much about it from the BGG page. I get an idea of it, but like, what am I actually doing in the game? What am I actually playing? What kind of things are coming into play? I feel like that's a little hard to discern from just this page. But if you read the rules or if you played it, you definitely get a good idea. Well, it was only the first 25. We're going to have to go a little faster here. Adulting. Stress out adults, balance chores and self-care to avoid burnout, and find joy. Isn't that what we do in everyday life? That's my everyday life. I don't know if I need a game to do that. Engine building game, tableau builder, and a deck builder. Don't know much about this one. Cards look very basic, very simple, but could be fun. Flamecraft, another expansion. This is just a promo pack. I forgot to take the expansions off of here. Ministry of Lost Things. These intrigue. I saw this. This one was intriguing to me because it is like a puzzle game. And it's the first in this series, and you have to have these envelopes and solve them, and then you continue to solve the puzzles, and then you can go online and verify if you did it correctly, basically. So it comes in these envelopes, and then inside the envelopes are stuff to look at. It just seems cool. It feels like the kind of game that you could kind of sit down with on a weekend afternoon and play and enjoy. Obviously, this is kind of like a one and done type thing, but I like these kind of games, and I like these, the escape room ones are fun. This seems like it's physical, so you don't need an app or anything for it except to go to the website, to double check your solution at the end, but it's not like you're playing with an app or anything. All the components are physical, so looks like a cool one to kind of check out. Time to Panic from Ivy Studio. This is one where you have cards and you're trying to arrange them in the right order. They had this at Gen Con, but I didn't buy it. Something about it, I looked at it, and then, I don't know, I just felt like it wasn't really popping for me. But the cards are really well done. Ivy Studio does a great job with their components and their game quality and everything like that. And so you're trying to place these numbers back into the timeline in the right order. And it's limited communication, but if you play solo, it feels like that part would just kind of get taken out because you don't have to communicate with anybody. It's just you. So, Cozy Stickerville. Build your village with over 800 stickers. The game, again, I know nothing about this game, but let's take a look at it here. Corey Kinezka? Okay. 800 different stickers. And you get to unlock things. Okay. I'm kind of in on this one. I love like a sort of the legacy type game where you're putting these stickers on and you're building your city, but it's simple. Okay. Cozy Stickerville. Interested. That was one that before we started this video I had no idea about, and now might be on my radar a little bit. Dirt and Dust, that was available at Gen Con. It's a game where you're racing these cars, but there's a lot more to it. It's like way more involved than like Thunder Road Vendetta or Heat or something like that. Like the weight on it is really high for like a racing game, 3.27. You're a rally racer. And so I saw some people playing this at a table next to me, and they looked very confused and that they'd kind of gotten in over their head. So just know that going in, that it's going to be a little more complex than like some of those other racing games. They were in the BGG Hot Games room, and they were playing it, and it just seemed like they weren't having a great time with it because the rules were really complex and try to figure out how to do everything. So know that. Expansion for Fate Forge. I have Fate Forge. I've played it, Chronicles of Khan, I should say. I've played it multiplayer. I have not played it solo. This is an expansion that's going to add animal companions. I'm in. They grow, explore, and fight with you. March of the Ants. This is a 4X nature game that you can play solo, and it's fast. That's the whole selling point, is 60 to 90 minutes. And this is a game that came out back in 2015. This is kind of just a revised, evolved edition, if you will. I have not played this game. I've heard of it, but I don't. Other than that, I have not played it. I couldn't tell you a ton about it, but if this is appealing to you, if you want kind of like a reimplementation. I don't know if you could play the original one solo or not. It looks like you could. Oh, wow. That revamp feels earned and needed. Look at the art on this one, and then look at the art on the new one. They completely overhauled. It looks so much more attractive now in terms of the art and the cards and the board. Everything looks better. So I think that was a well-deserved like revamp, relaunch of this game. So March of the Ants Evolved Edition. Twinkle Twinkle. I have a review of Twinkle Twinkle on my channel. Really fun little tile laying game from Ammon Anderson, who designed Gnome Hollow. Now this one is for all play. It's very, very easy. You can teach it in like 3 minutes. The tiles are really cool, and they're transparent, and you're kind of like making these constellations on your little personal board, and different things score if they're next to other things, and it's quick, and it's a good family game. It's a good solo game. It's pretty fun. Pondscape from Capstone Games. Tomas Holick, who has done a lot of heavy games, and now this little card game here. This says it's for 2 to 4 players. This says it's for 1 to 4. So I don't know what to believe there. Some grid building, some card management. There's a frog that jumps around, and apparently that will impact you throughout the game. So Pondscape there. Next up, Lightning Train. That was a big hot Gen Con release that everybody wanted from Direwolf and Paul Denon. Now, since it's been released, I haven't heard a ton about it. It seems like 7.3 people like it, maybe don't love it, and I don't really know a ton about how it plays solo. I haven't heard a lot about that. It just seemed like it kind of came out of Gen Con and then nobody really talked about it anymore. But it's available at PAX Unplugged. Expansion for SETI. If you like SETI, do you want to get the expansion? I've heard the expansion is great. You see here 8.7. very highly rated. People love the expansion. If you like SETI, I think the expansion just kind of adds some more stuff into the game. It adds a lot of different types of things in the expansion. This is probably like the most sought after expansion maybe at the convention. So let's see. This is adding some new asymmetric organizations, which is cool. You also get new alien species, quick start cards. Love the quick start cards because SETI is a little slow going early on, and so the quick start cards kind of get you right into that and can be used to further accelerate games in lower player counts. Even when you play solo, you can use those. And little signal tokens as well. So kind of just adding a bunch of little different things in for SETI. SETI Space Agencies. That's one I will definitely want to check out. Critter Kitchen. I have a review of that on my channel. It's good from Lucky Duck Games. I enjoyed it. It's a contract fulfillment game. You are collecting these ingredients and you're doing these challenges and you're trying to impress a celebrity chef as well. The solo mode works really well. It's a pretty well done solo mode. Same artist as Flamecraft, Sandara Tang. So if you like that type of art, you will enjoy the art in this one as well. This one is a little bit more complex than Flamecraft. Now, I'm not saying they're the same game. There's the same artist here and this style of art, but this one's got a little bit more going on, and I enjoyed that. I think I liked it better than Flamecraft. So that's Critter Kitchen. Nature, big hot Gen Con release that was kind of everywhere. Has so many different modules, if you will, or expansions that you get. So it's got the base box, and then it's a redesign of Evolution. So if you played Evolution, it's very similar to that. They've just done some different things, but you can see all of these modules, expansions that you add into it, some more even coming in 2026, that you can throw into the game and kind of build it up a little bit. So if you played Evolution, this is very similar. There are currently 5 modules and 2 mini modules. Next year at Gen Con, they're releasing another module. So they've got a lot of stuff planned for this one, for Nature. Next up on the list, Slay the Spire. Slay the Spire, I've heard is great. I have not played it. Solo community loves it. If you are a fan of that, I would definitely check that one out. It's expensive, it's pricey, but I've heard it's really, really good. Slay the Spire. Expansion for Galactic Cruise. Ham Helsing. I talked about that a little bit in my Gen Con recap video. Didn't love it solo. Might be better with more players. Seemed a little too punishing for the type of game that it was like trying to be in terms of like modeled after this like comic, and seems like it's going to be kind of fun and whimsical, and it's like really, really punishing, and I don't think kids would have a fun time with this, even though it kind of looks like more of a kids experience. I think they would just be too difficult. So it was okay. The components were good. The system was a little complicated, and I thought the whole time while I was playing, I was like, I feel like I'd just rather play another type of game that's like similar to this, but is a little bit easier to play. Clank Catacombs, Underworld, expansion for Clank Catacombs. If you like Clank, this is an expansion for Clank. Lost Ruins of Arnak expansion. Instead of having to get the big box, you can just get the expansion now, which has some new maps and temples. It's the final thing they're doing for Arnak, because this is the 3rd expansion for Arnak. So they're basically done with it at this point after this expansion. Twinkle Twinkle expansion, that just adds more stuff in, more tiles, more scoring stuff, more variability. I've played with the expansion. The expansion's good. It's just adding in, again, some more stuff. So if you like Twinkle Twinkle, and if you want some more variety in there, the expansion. Above and Below Stretch Goals box. Strange World Above the Clouds, a card game in which you have to do your best with your worst. Aegis Combining Robots. The 4 Doors, I talked about the 4 Doors on my channel. I got that at Gen Con. It's okay. It's not great as a solo game. Multiplayer would probably be a little bit better, but it's kind of easy, and it's got really good designers behind it. But I feel like there are just other games of this type that are better. The cards are cool though. The cards are cool and are really high quality, and it's very easy to play, and it's pretty quick. But I didn't love it. Another Micro Macro is coming out. If you like Micro Macro, you will enjoy the new one, I'm sure. They do a great job with those games. I've never bought one. I have played one before, and I liked it. I thought it was fun. Kind of going through, searching for things on this giant map. It's a game that works great solo because you can just sit there and look at the map and kind of see things, but it's a game that also works great multiplayer because then you have more people looking at the map and they can be like, oh, that's right here. It's right over here. And it's cool when you're like the first person to find it. And I like that they have the kids version now too, so it's not as like intense of a story. You can play it with your family. So that's, again, they're probably going to make those for years and years and years, and it's just kind of a version of Where's Waldo that's just on a paper map, but it is well done. The Networks, prime time. I love the Networks. I have an original copy of the Networks on my shelf back here. It was in my top 50 solo games when I last did my list. You are playing as a TV executive, and you are trying to make the #1 network. And so All Play is reprinting this and also coming out with an expansion as well. And so I rated it as 7.6. I feel like it's probably higher than that, honestly, for me. Probably should bump that up. But I really, really like this game. You have shows. Your shows age. Sometimes they're good for a while. Then they kind of drop off and you got to get new shows. You're trying to match your ads up. You've got other things going on. So I'm excited to see the revamp from All Play. And also, I think they're coming out with maybe an expansion for this as well. And so I would be interested in checking that out too. This might even be the expansion. This might be the Networks Primetime might be the expansion. Nope. Okay, it's just its own thing. So but yeah, I'm definitely excited to check out the Networks. Animal Rescue Team from Matt Leacock. Cooperative game about rescuing animals. This is brand new, so we will take a look at this. This is not technically out yet. It doesn't come out until November 26th, which is very soon. Oh, the cars are cool. The first game in the Shut Up and Sit Down Presents game line, another very popular YouTube channel, way more popular than this channel, for sure. But this is their first game, and you're just trying to rescue animals. I'm kind of in. I think that's kind of cool. Like, you're working cooperatively, and you're trying to rescue these animals, and you've got your map here, and you've got your little pieces. I like these are cool. These are really cool, and the components are really well done. I love the wooden meeples for the animals. I love the little cars and the transport things that you put them in. Here you are trying to get them across the board, save them, rescue them. We got a pig in the back of this car. That's cool. I think this would definitely be one to check out. 1 to 4 players. Not a ton on it yet because it's so new, but I think that looks pretty good. Creature Caravan expansion, Gwent. Gwent was available at Gen Con. If you play Gwent in The Witcher, you can play Gwent in real life now. Sudoku, kind of like Sudoku, but different. Design your destiny. Help the characters in the story by playing, then fixing games within the book. Read the story, play the games, fix the games. Okay. Kind of interesting there. 1 to 2 players. That's unique. Frog Fair. Available in the Indie Games Night Market. You are a frog competing in the Royal Frog Games. Okay. Chronologic Cusco. New Chronologic. Chronologic is a really good deduction game. And I really enjoyed the first Chronologic. I have not played the new Chronologic, but the first one is really good, and it really works well as a solo game. So I would definitely suggest checking that one out. Another Micro Macro, Reptile Tank. I love reptiles. We're going to click on it real quick here as we're trying to scroll through and get through these items on this list and check them all out. Reptile Tank. Okay, cards look cool. Drafting cards, 20 to 30 minutes. Tableau builder. Okay. I like the cards. The artwork on the cards looks good for sure. Micro Hero Hercules. That's kind of like the other game we're checking out, except a smaller version of it, maybe. $12. Micro Hero Hercules. Okay, a minimalist solo deck building game inspired by the 12 Labors of Hercules. Not the game that is Hercules and the 12 Labors, but very, very similar with some more fun art going on there. Moon Bunny. Don't know a lot about Moon Bunny. Casinopolis. That's a really good button shy game. I talked about that in one of my videos. I picked that up at Gen Con. If you like Sprawlopolis, you'll like Casinopolis. You're just trying to kind of organize your casinos on the Vegas Strip and make patterns, and it's very similar to Sprawlopolis, but a little bit different. It's good. Tidal Blades 2, that's been out for a little while. Yeah, last year, but it's the first time it's available at PAX Unplugged. For Dan, Arizona. The Wingspan fan design packs, those are coming out. If you want more stuff for Wingspan, they have fan design promo packs that you can get. First Class Letters is a rolling right. Expansion for Galileo Galilee. I'm surprised that's not a little bit higher because I've heard a lot about Galileo Galilee, but I have not played it yet. The Nature expansion, Santorini expansion, Wingspan promo packs again. Don't have that much more left. We're just kind of scrolling through here. Quick Wingspan promo pack. Children of Morta from Lucky Duck Games. Okay. Interesting here. Can't say I know a lot about this one. Lucky Duck Games, though. Cooperative adventure game with a shared bag building mechanism. Permanent character development. Trying to stop spreading the corruption of evil. The shared bag building thing is interesting to me. But again, solo, you're just kind of building the bag yourself. It looks good, though. Surprised it's not higher up on the list. New version of Everdell. How many versions of Everdell do we need? Really? I like Everdell. Everdell's a cool game. I just have the first Everdell and one of the expansions. I have the Everdell expansion that adds in. Why can't I think of the name of it? It adds in Nightweave. It's the which one is it? Mistwood. Everdell Mistwood. I have that. It's a good expansion. It amps up the game solo for sure. This is a new version of Everdell. Everdell Silverfrost. Floral. Otter, Terrible Quest. I talked about Terrible Quest in a video I did. This is from All Play. Here's tearing a piece of paper up, trying to tear out patterns. Boy, is it frustrating. It'd be a fun party game though. Solo, it's not really that fun. You're just kind of racing against yourself. But a party game, this is where this thrives. And it's very cheap, and you can just tear it up and play with it and tear out the pieces of paper. Wispwood from CGE. Again, another one I'm surprised I haven't heard more about. This is their new game that's coming out. It's been out for a little while now. But you are a cat, and this is a drafting game, pattern building, drafting these tiles and putting them into your personal display here. I really like the look of this one. And I'm surprised from CGE it's not a little bit higher up on the list. Black Orchestra expansion. Black Orchestra Resistance. I played Valkyrie at Gen Con, and that was really good as a solo game. I have not played Black Orchestra, but I did play Valkyrie. I believe that was the name of it. Make sure I'm correct here. It helps if you spell it right. Yeah, Valkyrie, a Black Orchestra game. That was very good. I played that at Gen Con solo. Solo works great. Heritage Farms, Insectarium, another Nature expansion, Tokaido expansion, Valheim, the board game. Interesting. Athespire, none of these are really jumping out to me that I need to click on it. Earth expansion, that's been out for a while now. If you wanted to get that, you definitely could. Flock Together expansion, Good Puppers new Good Puppers game. Good Puppers 2. Invincible, the card game. There's Invincible, the hero building game. This is the card game for Invincible. I haven't played either. Palette, Skyline Mini. Okay, interesting. Skyline Mini. It has blocks in it. Oh, interesting. 7 copies were made available at the PAX Unplugged Indie Games Night Market. And now they've obviously printed some more because it was popular, and they're going to have it available. Very intriguing. I love the blocks are really cool. I don't know how much. It seems pretty simple game though, just like trying to do these patterns or whatever. But the blocks are cool. Starfinder, Infinity Deck. I don't play Starfinder. Adventurous from Button Shy. Flow, a game based on the movie that came out. What was that, 2 years ago? Expansion for Nekojima. There's Valkyrie. This is really good. I really enjoyed this. I would suggest if you're going to PAX Unplugged, take a look at it because it's pretty good. At $35 too, like that's a really good price for. And I feel like that rating should be a little higher. 7.3. I liked it more than that. I'd probably give it like an 8, 8.5. Again, I only played it once, but it was good. Hyperstar Run is a solo-only game from Button Shy that came out earlier this year. Scott Alm's game, so that might be one to put on your radar. A new Exit based on Catan. One Hit Heroes. Potions of Azurland. I have a review of Potions of Azurland. I did enjoy that one solo. I thought it was pretty good solo. It's fun. You're like brewing these potions and fulfilling them, but you can also drink your potions and decide to do that and get powers that way. So a couple different things you can do there. Terraforming Mars, the dice game expansion. We're almost done here. Keystone expansions. Kingdoms of the Deep, Deadly Doodles. And that's it. Masters of Crime, Mosquito, the very last item on the list. So there you go. That's everything that's going to be available at PAX Unplugged to purchase. And PAX Unplugged is coming up at the end of this week. Hopefully that was helpful for you. Hopefully you enjoyed the going through of that list. I found some things on there that I was not super aware of that I think I definitely would be checking out at some point. So thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, be sure to like and subscribe. Put a comment below with if there's a game that caught your eye, intrigued you. You have one of the games that we talked about, and you're like, this is really good. Let me know. Let us know because that really helps out and gets things on my radar as well. Thank you.